Welcome to my 1-year review, My Salsa Cutthroat. I'm in West Virginia today, riding from historic Rollsburg to the top of the mountain at Terra Alta. This amazing arch here. That is the CSX Mountain Subdivision Railroad. This beauty here, this is my 2020 Salsa Cutthroat. I just had the gang at Pike Street Bikes in Shinston, West Virginia, freshen Sally up for this year, and we're taking her for a ride. We're shaking her down a little bit, getting her ready for the season. We get a little bit further up the mountain and kind of go into what works, what didn't work, what I've changed, and hopefully you've watched the video from last year, the very first ride video, and to all the 6,000 people who did, thank you for watching my videos. This is a non-monetized channel. I'm not trying to make money. I'm not trying to get famous. I ride for me, but if I can help other people, then life is good. You know, I've been bike packing a while, and I never get tired of new places like this. I have really no idea where the heck I'm at, but I know that this thing, this Salsa Cutthroat, it'll get me wherever I need to go. I can get lost on it and find myself. So I started in Rollsburg about 6 miles ago at an elevation of about 1,200 feet and change, and climbed up about 600 feet. Now the real climbing begins. I got 5 miles to the top up by Terra Alta. I think I would be close to the top. Not exactly sure where this stops. 1,300 feet of climbing, and here we go. This is what it's going to look like. We're on gravel, back roads of West Virginia. Let's see how she does. So I've had Sally, this 2020 Salsa Cutthroat, for about a year and a week, maybe a year and 2 weeks. I spent 100 consecutive days last summer by the headwaters in the Mississippi to Yellowstone, all over. And you know, Sally has performed wonderfully. If you watched the first video, you will have seen that I didn't have the bags on there, and now I do. So basically what we got is you know, base level Cutthroat with some modifications. Very first thing that I like to talk about is the Son dynamo that's wired through to the sine wave beacon. That works really well. Next bike packing thing I do is I use this Garmin 1030 with the pass-through battery. This bedroll bag, which has got my Enlighten equipment quilt and my Big Agnes sleeping pad. That bag is the Pronghorn by Relevate. You got a couple of Polecat bags by Relevate also on the Salsa Anywhere cages. If you watched the first video, you would have seen a keg mounted here. This is a Burra Burra sack and sack rack, and I may be pronouncing that wrong, but it's a specialized Burra Burra bag. Has a lot more volume because, you know, if you take off for multiple months, you pretty much take a whole bottle of chain lube. You need a couple of Tubolito inner tubes, just all kinds of miscellaneous stuff, and so the keg just didn't cover it. I used this handy tire plunger kit by Blackburn. The way this works is that pulls out, you got this plunger here. So I took it apart so that you could see it. Inside the cap is the bacon strips that go into the plunger end, and basically it makes a really handy way to fix the tubeless tire. All right, and so this frame bag, this is made by Derek at Three Toes Threadworks in Grand Rapids. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get a hold of Derek lately. I've been trying to get a hold of him, and I haven't been able to. If you watched the first video, you would have seen my video a year ago when my review. You saw a salsa bag on the front. I used that all the way through October until a squirrel chewed a hole in it and took out my Snickers bar. I had left it parked against a tree when I was bike packing up in an island in Lake Superior. So this back bag on the top tube, that holds my camera for the Fuji X-T3. The Terrapin by Relevate, fantastic. I cannot talk enough about the spot tracker. The biggest change I've made comes down to this rear derailleur and rear cassette. So originally I used the X01 crank and a 30-tooth chainring, which is what I'm still using. But I used a forced derailleur and a 4210 rear cassette with a SRAM force double tap shifter. And unfortunately, it works great on a lighter weight bike like the Diverge, not loaded, but it doesn't work real great for bike packing. Now, I did bike pack to the top of Mount Evans. I biked over Red Grade Road. But the fact is, it wasn't enough gearing. And so I went and saw the gang over at Pike Street Bikes, Jason and Simon, and they hooked me up with the ratio conversion kit. And what that is a ratchet that goes inside of this double tap shifter. It's a 3D printed metal ratchet. So you rebuild that, and then you put this X01 derailleur on here with a couple of bits, and boom, all of a sudden now you can use this 5210 rear cassette, which is today, as you can see, I'm really muddy. I've been playing around in these mountains here. I actually messed up my footage on the first take, so I stopped in Terra Alta for some lunch, and that's when I realized I didn't do the footage right. Now, a lot of you are going to go, why not just put Axis on there? It works so well, it's so reliable, and I have Axis on my Diverge, which I probably should do a review on that bike. But the biggest reason I don't use the Axis system is charging. So we're going to get into the bag here. So here is a bag of chargers. Okay, now think about this. If you go off for a week, the Axis system is going to work really well. Just take a spare battery. You're not going to run out. But if you go off for 4 months, at some point you're going to have to recharge. And so electronics wise, all of a sudden I've got these two devices, that pass-through battery and the Garmin battery that needs charged. We've got this cache battery that I carry with me, that needs charged. My phone needs charged. So right there is 4 devices right off that I need charged. Because I take my Fuji X-T3, I have this real big charger that charges that battery. It takes up a lot of space, and you're like, well, maybe leave the camera at home. But if anybody's seen my photography, that's probably not going to happen. You got to have this charger here to use with the Garmin. I use a second Garmin charger to charge the cache battery. This one charges my headphones. This one charges my phone. And this one charges the Garmin itself. And then, if you know, again, we're back to the Axis. That's the Axis charger. Now I could plug the Axis charger into this little one here. Again, that doesn't take up a lot of space, but already I have 4 outlets that when I stop somewhere, I need to find a place to charge. And that 5th outlet is just so freaking difficult. And so for just the simplicity I've chosen for me to stick with the cable operated system, and this ratio kit is working very well. A couple more things to talk about on the bike. I have switched to these Muck Off brand valve stems. Absolutely love them. By the way, the wheels are Stan CB7 wheels. If you look real closely, that valve cap, that is a valve stem tool also. So that's a really handy thing. I've tested about 7 different tires, and I have settled on the Maxxis Aggressor tires. Works really well. Another thing that we should talk about is I use the Redshift Aero system, which is comprised of removable aero bars and then the seat post. So you have this mechanism, but it has multiple seat positions. Right there is the forward position. So like when I need to get into the aero bar position, I pull the seat forward, and when I want to get back into the normal position, I pop the seat back. The Terrapin bag works really well with this system. This is my 4th bike using the Redshift Aero system. Firmly believe in it. Isn't this view amazing? Another thing I changed was this pump. The mini floor pump died on me probably after a few thousand miles, and so I switched to this more compact lens eye pump. And then I'm a big fan of these Planet Bike Super Flash 65s. They use the exact same AAA batteries as my spot tracker. So basically I use the spot tracker for 4 days, take the batteries out of that, put them in the tail lights, and then put fresh batteries in the spot trackers. So in a nutshell, that is the Salsa Cutthroat 2020. Biked 8,365 miles last year. On this, I biked a couple thousand miles on my Diverge. I did 2 4-day bike packing trips in the Chattahoochee, UP of Michigan, the Cherokee and Nantahala National Forest, and then I biked 100 consecutive days in the Rockies, Utah. All in all, this bike it's been a dream, actually. It's been very reliable. There you go. That's the rundown. Can't wait for another big year. There you go. Thank you for watching my 1-year review of my Salsa Cutthroat. Hopefully you've enjoyed the tour of this bike. To everyone who's helped me along the way to exceed my own expectations of myself, I can never say thank you enough. If you too want to ride in places like this, Salsa Cutthroat is the bike for you.